Joey Logano is in his prime. I said this, I'm telling you guys right now, 32 years old from starting in the Cup Series when he was 18 over there at Gibbs or whatever it was. These are going to be the next best 4 to 5 years is the best you're going to see Joey Logano. What's going on, y'all? I'm Brandon Atlanta Man Bang coming to you live right here at Coach's Corner, the center of the universe. Another episode of Rubbin' and Grubbin'. Rubbin' is racing, grubbin' is tasting. Man, I hope everybody's having a great Wednesday. I'm back from that Atlanta race, and man, what a race it was. I'm telling you, anybody out there watching that was there in person, that was a good weekend. Minus the cold, outside of that, amazing weekend. We got a lot of NASCAR news to go over. We got a lot of stuff to talk about Atlanta. Man, we're going to get right into it. So if you're new to tuning into the show, the way we like to start this out is what we call the word of the day. So every time I say this word, which I have no idea what it's going to be, Lawrence is going to throw it up, but every time I say it, make sure you take a sip of your favorite adult beverage. I always like to say it's age appropriate as well. If you're under the age of 21, hey man, it's Wednesday, you're coming back from a short week on Patty's Day, spring break's right around the corner. Man, get a Red Bull, some sweet tea, Kool-Aid, get jacked up, stay up late, have a good time, man. So last week's word of the day was penalty, which I'm sure I probably talked about that a little bit with what was going on. Hendrick, also maybe some penalties that would happen there at Atlanta, which we saw. But at the end of the day, like I said, if you played along, you probably had a good little buzz by the end of the show. This week's word of the day is going to be, I have no idea, but every time I say it, take a sip of your favorite beverage, man. So getting right into it, NASCAR news, man, Joey Logano in that 22 Penske Ford came home victorious at Atlanta. I tell you what, he put the move on Keselowski, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. But I know he's been waiting on that one for a while. I know it holds a little special place in his racing memories from growing up doing Legends of Bandoleros there. And look, at the end of the day, I didn't have a dog in the fight. My guy's out a few more weeks. But hey, man, what the hell? You know, at the end of it, good to see Logano win. Good to see a Ford win. I tell you what, it's an amazing, amazing thing. I thought Chevrolet was going to keep the streak alive, to be honest with you. You heard me talk about Byron and a few others. But at the end of the day, Ford got that win under the belt for the 2023 season. I think you're going to see quite a few more as we move forward. But, hey, man, good win there for the 22 team. So Jenson Button and Kimi the Iceman Rackington coming back to run at COTA. Man, I tell you what, if you talk about two guys that raced at this racetrack, probably more than anybody in the Cup Series for sure, I would think. 20 plus times, 15 plus times, who knows how many times. But these guys race there quite often and quite a lot, so they know the track. Now, as we saw last year, Kimi in that Project 91 or whatever it is over there for Trackhouse, at the end of the day, decent run, not great. I think when you get into a Cup Series car out of any other style or form of racing, whether it be IMSAs, you know, GTs, whether it be Formula One, IndyCar, whatever it is you come out of and you get in a Cup car, especially now with the next gen, there's a lot of variables that are thrown in there that you're not used to. And we don't know what we're going to get now. I mean, now we've changed aerodynamics up, the short track and road course package. So we'll see what happens, but it's going to be an interesting race. I expect these guys to have decent runs. You know, I think it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve there for probably the first 30 to 50 laps. After that, we'll see how comfortable they get. And what kind of moves they can be made. But hey, good exposure for NASCAR to a different fan base that probably wouldn't watch it if these guys weren't in it. So kudos to them. Got to give some big love out there to Xfinity driver. Josh Williams is suspended for the race at COTA, man. But I got to give him some big love, man. If you guys don't know what this guy does, make sure you check it out, man. He's in cahoots with children's hospitals. He does something that is amazing. I think it's amazing. Very charitable, kind of like what we do on Rubbin' and Grubbin', just to a whole nother level. He's tagged up with a robotics company, and what they do is they have TVs and monitors set up in hospitals with disabled or sick children that aren't able to go to the racetrack that are race fans. And he basically gives them a walkthrough of the garage area, the haulers, the car themselves, and they're able to interact. So, you know, at the end of the day, what he did in Atlanta was kind of crazy. If you hadn't heard about it, he got in an accident earlier. A piece of bear bond flew off the car. NASCAR said, hey, you're not meeting the minimum speed or whatever it may be. Park it. So instead of pulling into the garage, he parked it on the start-finish line, got those sponsors some exposure, and threw up the heart and walked out. So got some T-shirts for sale out there. All the proceeds that are raised off of those Josh Williams T-shirts go straight directly into that child's hospital. So I know I'm buying one. I think Lawrence is going to buy one. We're going to try to buy. John Henderson said he's buying a few. So at the end of the day, we're going to get some money and throw some money and show some love. But make sure if you haven't yet, go check that out, because he is doing things that are bigger than just being in that car and racing. Very underfunded team. Denny Hamlin, I think, paid the penalty money for him. At the end of the day, it's all about giving back to that community, man. And, you know, for this guy being an underfunded team, doing what he does for those kids, absolutely amazing. I wish we saw more superstars take some time out of their schedule and do some stuff like this as well. I know they go visit and they do their charity work, don't get me wrong, but I just think this is a cool technological advanced way to get a lot of kids that aren't able to go and actually be at that race the experience of being there for sure. So got to give a big shout out, man. If you haven't yet, please go out, like, share, follow, all that social media, man. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Most of all, make sure you subscribe to that YouTube channel. We actually met the guy and gave that Larson helmet away in the Atlanta infield. Fast Car Living is the guy that actually won it, and turns out he was a huge Larson fan. I didn't know that until the day gave it to him. He gave us a shout out. Make sure you follow him as well out there on Twitter. But I tell you what, Larson helmet went. So on to the Harvick, man. We're trying to get to 500 followers. All right, we're at 270. Yeah, 2,000 would be great. But I think where are we at, Lawrence? Like 272 and some change. I didn't check this week. But at the end of the day, we hit 500, this goes. So the faster that happens, the quicker this one goes. We've also got a helmet, if this one goes quick, to throw another one up here, man. They're really unique helmets, full size, autographed in the front, coming with a certificate of authenticity. So this will be the next one. Like I said, it doesn't matter if you already have or if you're new to subscribing, but as soon as we hit 500, we're going to ask Alexa to pick a number, and whatever number she picks is the person subscriber number that wins this helmet. So make sure you check that out. Keep up with that as well. But getting right back into it, man, we saw a little bit of the first action on North Wilkesboro. We all know the All-Star race is going back there this year at a very historic track for NASCAR, which is awesome. I tell you what, we saw some trucks get a tire test in, and then we saw some Cup Series, you know, some next-gen guys get a tire test in. And from the feedback coming back from those guys, it looks like we were going to be in for a good race. I think it was Tyler Reddick said, he goes, I feel like this track hasn't aged this many years on the asphalt. He goes, but man, you're slipping, you're sliding, the uphill and downhill back and forth. He goes, it's almost comparable to being better than some of the road courses we're at. The trucks had really good feedback. So I think as we get closer to that All-Star race, we're going to see some guys definitely tune in and try to get the win. I mean, this is a historic win. You know, you win at North Wilkesboro All-Star race. There's not many guys, if any, that can say, hey, I ran there. I mean, there's a couple maybe Harvick might have. But as far as guys that start, I don't think there's too many that have. So very historical racetrack there. They're bringing that back. Hopefully maybe we can get it on a full-time Truck and Xfinity series and see maybe if it works its way back onto the Cup Series. But glad to see some cars out there running, turning some laps, getting some feedback and some data for Goodyear to adjust if they need to. And I tell you what, I can't wait to see a full field out there, man. That's going to be a badass race for sure. So both Denny and Hendricks come out. They're appealing those, man. I tell you what, and Chad Canals hit it right on the head and has some real strong words. And you guys know I'm a Hendrick man, and I'm going to stick up for it, man. But whoever is doing the third-party quality control might have missed the day or clocked out earlier, let a couple of these slide through. But, you know, Hendrick, as a team, I see where everybody comes through. They're the only ones that evidently got the misappropriated hood vents and Justin Haley, right? But at the end of the day, there's no quality control that goes from the distributor to the NASCAR team. So maybe he's got something there. Maybe they did something to him. I don't really know. At the end of the day, I would appeal to, they didn't race them. They practiced them. They were confiscated before they qualified or ran the race. So really, I don't find it detrimental to racing or doing anything outside of the box to hurt it. They were just trying to get a little hand up and go, hey, maybe let's see what this does, right? They got caught, and we'll see what happens. Now, Denny, on the other hand, probably should have just kept his mouth shut, not said anything, probably wouldn't have got fined. But in his eyes, he goes, what they're telling me I did, the email that NASCAR sent to him, he goes, I did none of those things. I didn't do anything detrimental to the race. I didn't change the outcome of it in any form or way. Maybe taking Chastain out. I mean, guys do that all the time, right? He didn't do any safety, anything that would have caused any kind of safety concern. So at the end of their day, I agree with him on that. We'll see what NASCAR does on both. We'll see if they uphold both, which knowing NASCAR, they're probably going to want that money. So they'll probably uphold both of them. But at the end of the day, we'll find out, man. But, hey, I tell you what, man, you just got to kind of be quiet. Now, speaking of Denny, man, him and Keselowski had some funny stuff going on in Atlanta. And I don't know if y'all seen this video yet. make sure you go out, YouTube it, check it out on Twitter. It's everywhere. When Brad Keselowski got out of that car and parked it, man, he had to go. You know, when you got to go, you got to go. So off to the John he went. I run to the Porta-John, all right? A few minutes later, you see a couple guys go into the other ones. Keselowski evidently didn't lock the door on his. You know, knob turns from green to red. Hey, somebody's in there occupied. Denny Hamlin walks up, swings the door open. Whoa, sorry, man. You know, you're in there. And Hamlin actually had a funny comment, which I thought he goes, man, by the time I got in there, it smelled like King Hawaiian rolls. So at the end of the day, good little tidbit there. If you hadn't seen it yet, make sure you go check it out. It'll get you a good laugh. Funny video for sure. So that'll wrap it up for the NASCAR news there, man. We are on to the checkered flag for charity. Like I said, Kyle Larson helmet went. We're on to this one. We got some Cooler Full of Joys coming up over the next few weeks. Lawrence is going to get some. This weekend, Lawrence says we got one. I know I'll be sponsoring quite a few of them in April and May there, so we're going to get this going. But right now, as of a total, with the $22 from Joey Logano going in for the checkered flag for charity from Rubbin and Grubbin, that brings the total through, what are we through, Lawrence? 5 races? 5 total going on to the 6. Through 5 races, that's $1,000, man. Raised for Miss Jamie Searhouse Monroe. I'm going to be going down personally to give it to her tomorrow. She is bartending at a bar at Tybee Times. I think Steve and Bethany Kellerman are meeting me down there. And I tell you what, just an amazing group of folks, just what everybody does in the community that comes together to save. But like I like to say all the time, none of this is possible without all the patrons here at Coach's Corner and the support of John and Adele Henderson for letting us do it. At the end of the day, I tell you what, all the partners, all the patrons that come here to Coaches are very charitable people, awesome folks. If you plan on coming up this weekend, which we're going to get into a little bit more, make sure you bring a few extra bucks to throw in. Raffle, man, hey, you can go home with a cooler full of booze. I'm telling you, it's a win-win. At the end of the day, it does not matter. If you got nickels, pennies, dimes, 10/20s, 150s, whatever it is you got to donate, stop your waitress, stop your waiter, tell your bartender. If you see John or Adele walking by, tell them you want to donate checkered flag for charity. They'll make sure it goes to the right place, man. And again, like I said, big thanks to all the patrons, everybody at Coaches that gets in the raffles and all the charitable events that we do, whether it be stuff John's got going on, whether it be golf tournaments, whether it be cooking contests, whether it be TP donations, whatever it may be. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for all that. I get to come up here and talk the NASCAR. We, you know, our sponsors, fortunate enough to have the sponsors that we have, fund for the coolers, and it only makes money. You know, that's what we do. We're trying to raise as much money that all stays local in this listening area. So again, everybody out there that has ever donated to a checkered flag for charity or a Rubbin and Grubbin cooler we have done at the concert at Coaches, thank you guys. Big pat on the back for yourself, man. So got to give a big shout out to my main man, Parker Eccles, Arbor Man Tree Service out there. Had an absolute blast with him and another buddy of ours, Mr. Matt Harrington, which I know that name sounds familiar, another tree company in Savannah. Matt really made me feel bad about it. He actually gave me a Las Vegas hat, which I'll be wearing here probably in the next couple weeks. Man, he made me feel bad. I've known Matt forever. We all kind of grew up together, went to school together, you know, knew a lot of the same people, partied together here and there. So at the end of the day, man, 2 of the greatest folks ever. But got to give a big shout out there to Arbor Man, Mr. Parker. Like I like to say, you'll see that number scrolling on the screen all night long. Any tree service needs here in the Savannah area, make sure you give Parker a call over there, Arbor Man. Locally operated, insured. Like I say all the time, doesn't matter if you're not sure what you need, limbs cut back, full tree removal, stump grinding. Like I say, if you just need an estimate, give Parker a call over there, Arbor Man. He'd be more than happy to come out, man. You know, give you an estimate, tell you, hey, you need this, need that. And like I said, we're in spring now, but before you know it, it'll be hurricane season. Might want to get it tightened up. Might be a little bit lower rate. I don't know. That's on Parker. I don't know what he does year in and year out. But at the end of the day, man, make sure you give Parker a call over there at Arbor Man. Parker, I love you, brother. I always love seeing you, man. It's always a good time. Hopefully we get to hang out a little bit more at one of these races at some point in time. I kind of get in my own zone doing the Atlanta Man thing, and you're doing your baller stuff, riding the golf cart, man, and hanging out and making the rounds with all your buddies that are there. So loved Harrington coming, man. Matt, if you're watching, brother, you got to come back, man, because that was a good time. Mom and Dad had an amazing time hanging out with you, Lindsay as well. So, man, at the end of the day, love all y'all. Glad you made it. Arbor Man Tree Service, call that number, man. So getting into it for the who's hot and who's not, we'll start it out with the who's hot. And I tell you what, this man takes it back over. He was already on it once. Joey Logano in that damn Penske Ford, man. Oh, I hate that. Anyways, takes over the hot spot. It seems like they finally got that win. They've been running good all year long. Atlanta, I know, like I said, held something close to his heart from his past experience as kids growing up racing there. I'm sure he had this one on that box to check off. He got it done, man. And I tell you what, him and the crew chief, when they're together, and it's funny because I'm pretty sure it's Brad Keselowski's old crew chief, if he still got the same one. I'm pretty sure that Paul Wolf came over when Todd Gordon retired, if I have that right. Paul Wolf is a magician, man. I've been saying it for years. I think outside of Chad Knaus, he is the next guy that's on Chad Knaus' level as far as the way he thinks inside, outside the box, mechanically, physically, car, crew, driver. The guy's a hell of a talent, which I'm pretty sure that's still his damn crew chief. I don't want to make myself wrong, but I'm pretty sure. But at the end of the day, they make a good team. Whoever it is that's over there, they make a good team. Joey Logano is in his prime. I said this, I'm telling you guys right now, 32 years old from starting in the Cup Series when he was 18 over there at Gibbs or whatever it was. These are going to be the next best 4 to 5 years is the best you're going to see Joey Logano. Hands down, it happens. It's a telltale story. There's very few guys that have ran as many years as what Joey Logano has that has made it to 40 and had the success, okay? It just kind of, you grow old of it. And I don't mean that old of the racing. I mean that you're not willing to put the car in places it needs to go. You're not willing to do the things you need to do. You've been there. You've done that. You're 40. You go, man, I don't bounce back the way I used to. So at the end of the day, any Logano fan out there, the next 4 years, soak it in, enjoy it. It's going to be really good. I have a feeling, and I got a feeling the rest of the 2023 season, that 22 is going to be contending for quite a few wins. So keep an eye out on him. Christopher Bell, man, I tell you what, jumped up to number 2 on this, and I tell you what, I really like Christopher Bell. I'm not a Toyota fan by no means. If he'd come over and drive a Hendrick Chevrolet, if there was somebody that we didn't have signed up that wasn't as good as they are, I would definitely want Christopher Bell on that team, man. It's just a huge amount of talent. I think you're finally seeing him to start come into his own. And to be honest, I think he's shown the most speed over there once again this year so far at Gibbs. I mean, Denny Hamlin's had some really good runs. Power rankings have Denny Hamlin up there. But at the end of the day, I think Christopher Bell is that guy that almost had it won there at Atlanta again. I mean, that's 2 years in a row. I think when we go to this road course coming up at COTA, you're going to see another strong run. I think consistency is key for the 20 team, not to hit that summer slump and have the bad runs they did kind of last year throughout the end of that summer and the beginning of the playoffs. But I tell you what, he made the Final Four last year. He did a good enough job to do that. I think we might see him back in it this year. We just have to see how those playoffs play out. But at the end of the day, I really do enjoy watching Christopher Bell grow up in front of everybody as a race car driver. And the man's got a lot of talent and a lot of fast cars, so expect him to win quite a few races this year as well. So number 3, I got to give this man a pat on the back, Mr. Bad Brad Keselowski, man, in another Ford. Ford dominating this the hot list right now, Lawrence, and Lawrence is loving it. But at the end of the day, I tell you what, I think last year what we saw with RFK and Keselowski coming back and buying into that team, we all knew, especially with the new car, it was going to take at least a couple years for him to get it back right. Now, I think we saw that success with Trackhouse become a thing, being brand new, buying in, putting the money in, and only knowing that form of race car, right? It's logistics are better. The cost overhead is a little bit under, especially compared to what we were years ago. So I think it's harder for a team that was used to doing things one way to come back and do things another, especially after they were kind of on the decline. And I hate to say that because in my days of growing up, Roush was one of the biggest, had 5 cars at one time, and all those cars won. So names of Carl Edwards and Matt Kenseth and Greg Biffle and above all else, Mark Martin and everybody else that made it through those ranks there at Roush Fenway. It's a legendary team. So with Brad Keselowski there, I see the speeds back definitely in the 6 car this year for sure. Buscher's had decent runs, got to get some things squared up there, but we all know if you watch him, he comes on a little bit later in the season. But I tell you what, Brad is doing it, man. And a former champion, having that input behind the wheel and the operations of what goes on and what direction they're headed, I feel, it's going to pay dividends for Roush Fenway. I still think it's going to be 2 more years before we see them back running consistent, up front, winning races week in and week out. Maybe another year or 2. But at the end of the day, it's really cool to see the 6 car especially back up front, fast and contending for those wins, man. He almost had it at Atlanta. Needed half a lap, man. Half a lap, doing things a little bit different. Might have had that win, man. So getting into the who's not, and I got some fans that watch the show every week out there. I just left the race from, and they're not going to be happy with me. But Bubba Wallace, man, takes over the top spot on the not list. Doesn't have it together, man. Doesn't have it together. The consistency is not there. We saw him get really hot and consistent there towards the end of the season last year in 2022, and I expected that to carry over this year. It hasn't so far. Now, I'm not down and saying it's not possible, because it is. Bubba Wallace is a very talented race car driver. I think now that he's in good equipment, we're going to see him kind of bloom and contend for some wins this year. I really believe that. You know, he got one last year. I really believe we'll see him contend for more. Now, with that being said, I think that they have to get the consistency together, the communication together. Bubba admitted it. He made a rookie mistake there this past weekend. That was on him. That can't happen. To be a top-tier, top 10 driver week in and week out and contend to win those races and go for a championship, those mistakes can't happen. You have to be grown out of those by as much experience of what you had in the race car. It's the only downfall I got on him. I don't care off the track. I don't care anything personally. I don't care anything about that. I think he's a cool guy. I think he's a good race car driver. I think he's got good equipment. He's just got to get it together behind the wheel, pit road. They've got to get it together as a team. They've got to do some bonding. Communication's got to get better. Execution definitely has to get better for sure. So Ross Chastain makes the not list, man. And that has nothing to do with the way he's running, because he's running pretty decent. I mean, let's be honest. You know, Ross Chastain has been in contention already this year for a win. Just didn't work out that way. It's just people off the track are having issues with him, man. I mean, at Atlanta, there's video of Alex Bowman getting in that window and, you know, getting after him a little bit, having a heated conversation. And, you know, we saw, you know, him and Denny kind of maybe squash it, maybe not have their altercation or their, you know, conversation there a week before that. So I think it's a personality thing in Ross Chastain that he's like, yo, man, I'm going to go balls to the wall 100% wide open no matter what anybody thinks. I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to do things that, yeah, you probably shouldn't do, but I'm going to do them. And we're going to get I got to have a segment about some things like that a little bit later on in the race, but it basically comes down to how hard it is to win nowadays in these race cars. So, it's unfortunate there's no old school guys to kind of lead the way, which we're going to talk more about. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, and that's why he's on the not list. It doesn't have anything to do with on track. Just got to do with that personality, and man, you got to tighten it up, man. You got to. Somebody's going to ruin your stuff, man, and that watermelon's going to get busted in a different way, man. So last but not least, a 10 of Eric Almirola. And I tell you what, he probably could have been number one on the not, to be honest. This man has just had some horrible luck, some horrible racing incidents, and just, you know, fast cars, according to him, fast cars, but just stuff happening. So the tire at Atlanta that blew, they seem it was cut down by something. I don't know. Had a tire failure, hit the wall, caused the accident. It happens, right? I mean, I get it, but look, 2022 was not a good year, and that was supposed to be a retirement year, and then he decided not to, expecting bigger things out of 2023. 2023 seems like it's just as bad as 2022 right now. So it's causing a wreck or in a wreck himself every week. And I like Eric Almirola. I think he's a really cool guy, very humble, very cool, calm, collected, which I kind of like in a race car driver. You know, in the later parts of his career, he finally got into some really good equipment there at Stewart-Haas, I feel like, the best he'd been in, and just hadn't quite been able to put it all together. Again, consistency, communication, execution on and off the racetrack as a team is key. So hopefully they get it together, because if not, boy, it's going to be a hell of a damn long year. I promise you that. All right, man, moving into this Atlanta recap, I tell you guys what, I'm going to start it off with a recap of my weekend. My weekend was absolutely amazing. Got there Thursday. Weather was beautiful. Got the camper set up. I mean, as soon as we're in, everybody starts showing up. LB and his wife are there right behind us. Bubba Baker and Big E and Kenny and Will and George and everybody, Terry and everybody that was over there, Al, everybody that was over there on the turn two, Gerald, everybody turn two crew, man. I tell you what, both Geralds actually. We all started showing up right about the same time, man, and it was a good party Thursday night. I went to bed at about 11. I was done. I think my dad and LB stayed up till about 4. Harrington, I think, was out there. Billy Snyder was out there. I think all these boys were out there doing some crazy-ish. That's just beyond my bank account. But they had a great time. That was Thursday, man. Had a great time. Friday, if you hadn't seen it yet, make sure you check it out, man. It's on our social media. Fox Atlanta News 5 did an interview with them. So big shout-out to Tyler out there as well with the PR department at Atlanta Motor Speedway. He swung by, man, and gave me a piece of the track, which I didn't have yet. Real really nice guy, down-to-earth guy. Hopefully in the future we'll do some more things. I'll be there every March. So he goes, hey, man, call me. We'll definitely get together. But big thanks and shout out to him and Atlanta Motor Speedway for letting me rep Atlanta, man, and have my fun as well. But if you hadn't seen it, check that out. That was Friday. Go on to a great day. A little bit of rain, but still fun. Saturday, 2 great races out there. I tell you what, the Xfinity race drug out a little bit with the cautions. But at the end of the day, still really great racing that we always love to see and always enjoy. That's one of my favorite parts of Atlanta is you get that doubleheader race, both races on Saturday between trucks and Xfinity. I tell you what, Christian X, that 19 truck, man, when Derek Krause was in it last year, I thought that thing had all kinds of speed in it. And I tell you what, Christian X make an amazing move there and won that race. Second of his career there. Awesome, awesome deal. Xfinity there again, like I said, Georgia boy, Austin Hill, 2 years in a row, or back-to-back races basically. It's awesome. I love it when that happens, man. Cold. Sunday, extremely cold. Didn't stop the Cape from flying. I was on top of the RV rooting them on the whole race. Got a little wind burned off of it, man, but had an amazing, amazing time. Just want to say thank you to all my friends and family that come up there, my NASCAR family, my extended brothers from another mother, Rick, everybody. Rick donated into the Checkered Flag for charity as well, which we put in. I tell you what, it's just an amazing, humble group of folks that are a family. The same group of people have been going 20 plus years. We cook together, we drink together, we hang out together, we watch that race together. I tell you what, let me show you this real quick because this is probably the sweetest piece of memorabilia I got out the whole weekend. So me and my buddy Bubba Baker, we always like to make bets. And none of them are big dollar bets and some of them are pretty silly. But I did win $5 and I did have to have him sign that bad boy. So I know Bubba's out there watching tonight. This one ain't going nowhere. I'm getting ready to buy a frame for it and it's coming to Atlanta Motor Speedway with me every time. So, but anyways, love all you guys, man. I know everybody made it home safe. I know Rick had a long flight back out to New Mexico. Rick, thank you for all your charitable things you do as well, brother. It's just an amazing, great time, man. Steve Moss as well. He's out here shooting the stuff with us, man. Like I said, Billy Snyder, Jimmy Henderson, everybody that came down, man, just an awesome time. Hopefully everybody comes back again next year. Got that same crew. That's how we make those family. That's how we make those memories, man. That's what it's all about. So big shout out, big love, much love from Rubbin' and Grubbin' and Brandon and Atlanta Man Bane. I love all y'all all the time. I'm trying to make it down there to that Fort Walton Beach area, man, to come hang out with that family in their element. Hopefully they'll come hang out down here in Savannah in our element. We'll show them a good time as well. But we got to do it more than once a year. That's for damn sure. So getting into the actual race recap, man, Joey Logano came home victorious, like I said, in that Penske 22 Ford. I tell you what, man, that was a good move, big win he put there on Keselowski. Me and Lawrence are really pulling for Keselowski. We had him at a little better odds, which we'll get to in just a little bit. But at the end of the day, man, Brad Keselowski, I was hoping he was going to get it just to see that Roush Fenway Ford, but Logano put the move on him there on the last lap. Kind of did his thing, man, and stuck the front. Now, a couple more guys we got to give some shout-outs to, man. Look, Kevin Harvick looked strong, really strong, made a mistake, came down a little bit too quick, I think, got the air taken off of him. A lot of folks thought it was Chastain. He came back, said it wasn't. Even Clint Boyer in the booth had to apologize, saying it wasn't him. At the end of the day, that's just a racing deal. Christopher Bell, got to give a big shout-out. Finished second there. Now that, I think he finished third, excuse me. I think he finished third or second. I think he finished third. I think NASCAR ruled him third, which it really should be second if you go back and look at it. I swear to God, all the pictures up there. How they scored Keselowski 1/1000th of a second ahead at the start-finish line, I don't know. But at the end of the day, came home third. But, hey, good run for Bell, great run for Keselowski. A lot of good racing there. I tell you, the pit commitment line in Atlanta was something very different. Definitely got Ryan Blaney thrown off. He went 2 laps down. Ended up coming back to finish 7th or 8th. I think that the longer we weather this racetrack and the more races that we held there and the more summer-winter cycles we go through, the better racing we're going to see of what we like. So I'm just going to put it like this. I'm a true NASCAR fan. I don't care if first place is 10 seconds ahead of second and second 10 seconds ahead of third, right? That doesn't mean anything to me. What it means to me is the guy that brings the best equipment, set it up, ran the race, and won. Now, we have guys at the old Atlanta that had short-run cars and long-run cars, and we saw it there at that last race, Blaney and, Kyle Larson. We saw Blaney come back and get a win from Larson after leading 200 and some change, all right? Now, I heard more people complain about that from the next gen, as I like to call those fans, the next-gen fans. More complaining about that. Oh, the racing is horrible. They get so spread out. There's no side-by-side. It's this and that. It's this and that. All the drivers loved it. Okay, it was that time. Atlanta, it was that time. Asphalt, we didn't want to see what happened at Daytona happen at Atlanta. Asphalt started coming up. time to make the move. Atlanta, pulled the string, said, hey, we're going to make a one-of-a-kind racetrack, right? It's a 1.5 mile, super speedway style racing, right? Awesome, cool. Fans now, oh, I don't like that. What's the old Atlanta? We should be going back to the old Atlanta. Look, man, you can't have your cake and eat it too. I like both styles of racing. I think the race that we just saw this past Sunday was great. The inaugural race we saw last year in March was amazing. The summertime race was amazing. But what I'm getting at is the more hot and cold cycles we have on that track, we're going to see a little bit more of what we saw this Sunday, to where they kind of broke up in 2 packs there for a minute, right? The pit lane and where it is now, I think we got to change that a little bit. We have to do something with a higher speed until you hit a second line going on to pit road, because pit road speed all the way down through 3 and 4, like I said, it cost Ryan Blaney 2 laps. It cost a few guys a lap or 2. And if things don't happen the correct way, if it doesn't happen in stage 1 to where you have another stage and a caution after that, you're not getting 2 laps back, right? Then you got to race your way back, which was no problem for Ryan Blaney to be the first car on the lap down, right? At the end of the day, I think if we just wait and be patient as fans and we see this track evolve for another 2 to 3 races, 2 to 3 years, it's going to go back into some of that where you're going to have 2 groups of cars. You're going to see a little more strategy. You're going to have maybe some guys pull away. I think we just have to weather it and get some of the handling to go away outside of the pack before we're going to see guys kind of get spaced out, whether it be 5 cars, here, 10 cars here, 6 cars here, whatever it may be. But fans out there, please be patient with Atlanta. It's my home track. I love it. It holds a special place in my heart. Don't be hating on Atlanta, man. So getting right into that Circuits of the America preview out there in Texas, I tell you what, it's going to be a good one, man. This is the first road course on the new aero package we have for road courses, right? We saw it at Phoenix, which to me still isn't a true test, but we're going to see it this weekend at COTA. I think that we're going to see some things different. There again, hey, new rule change for 2023, no stage costing on road course racing, which I absolutely love. I think this is something that we really should have been doing whenever we started adding all these road course races. There should never be stage cautions at a road course. You know when the caution is coming. You're either going to get the stage points or you're going to stay out and get the track position, right? Or come in laps early and get the track position. So now we're going to see it. The stage points are awarded, but the fuel mileage comes back into play. The pit strategy comes back into play. I think we're back to true road course racing, which I think it is going to be a great display at Circuits of the America for sure. Hopefully the aero package doesn't do anything too crazy, which I don't think it should. But at the end of the day, going to be awesome, man. Going to be a good time. So there again, Ross Chastain was victorious there last year after a crazy finish of that race with the Dinger and Bowman. I expect that if they're in the same situation this year and one of those 2 drivers that he kind of moved out of the way to get that win are still there, I got a feeling Ross Chastain might go for a ride. At the end of the day, we'll see if he can be victorious again. Make sure you tune in, man. This Sunday, that one will be right around 3 o'clock as well, I think. So going to be an awesome time on Fox, man. Make sure you check it out. So top 5. And man, let me tell you, this is really hard to put into a top 5, especially a new aero package, first road course of the year. Chase Elliott would always be number 1. He ain't on it.
Come on, man.
He ain't on it this year. So I had to go back and do some studying. I'm going to take some numbers that are probably going to blow people's mind out here. They're going to go, what in the hell are you thinking? But to be honest, it's just kind of, I got to think outside the box. Predictions are hard, man. Opening odds, everybody's about equal for like 15 drivers, 14 drivers. They're not far off. All right, number 1 for me, and it might kick me in the butt to say this, but number 1 for me is going to be Kyle Busch. And I take this back to the way the 8-car ran for Richard Childress last year on road course races. Tyler Reddick, okay? Tyler Reddick was an amazing guy. Seen, won a couple of them. Knocked my boy Chase out of one a little bit. Beat him on the other one. At the end of the day, good road course racer. The equipment was good. Kyle Busch, pretty good road course racer. Not bad. Decent guy behind the wheel at road course races. I think you might see him go out and get another win. I think you might see him be the second guy to go back-to-back, or, 2 wins, multiple wins on the season, not back-to-back, excuse me. All right, number 2 for me, this is going to throw some guys off. Everybody that's watched NASCAR long enough to knows this guy is really good at what he does. That's going to be the 16 AJ Allmendinger, all right? I'm not throwing it out there. I think that AJ is a good enough talent and been in the Cup Series long enough. He's going to have good equipment. He's going to run that road course very good, very contention, be in contention. And he's going to hunt for that win. So I'll take him number 2. Number 3 for me, a familiar name, Christopher Bell. I just talked about him. Won that road course race there at Daytona Road Course when we did all that. Not bad. I think he's got still some things to learn about the road course, but at the end of the day, probably going to have a pretty good run. Had a solid run last week at Atlanta. I expect him to back it up 4 for me, Joey Logano. I don't think he's the best road course racer out there, but there again, I think with the team that they have, the expertise, maybe some fuel strategy out of Paul Wolfe, which he's been known to do, could easily come away with another win. 5 for me is a tie, all right? And these guys are split for me. Kyle Larson, obviously the driver talent that he has behind the wheel. We've seen him run really good at road courses as well. Watkins Glen last year, there's one. But at the end of the day, I take him and I take another guy that is a young road course racer, and that's Austin Cindric. And a lot of guys sleep on Austin Cindric, but he knows how to get around a road course. I think barring any pit penalties, I think barring anything happening on track, you're going to see Austin Cindric have a really good run there as well. Getting into those dark horses, man, a couple of them aren't too deep in that field. I mean, I got 4 this week. The 6 of Brad Keselowski, there again, I think bringing speed last week, showing speed all year long, maybe not quite getting those finishes. Road course might be a place. There again, some pit strategies he learned from Paul Wolfe. Things they're doing different. Might get off sequence or something. Could be a win. Like I say, 34 of Michael McDowell, pretty good road course racer there as well. A lot of folks sleep on him, barring any issues, should be up there. 45 of Tyler Reddick. If the equipment can hold up to the driving talent that he has behind the wheel on road course races, on tracks, I think that he'll definitely be up there. And another guy, we'll go a little bit deeper than that, and I think you got to look at it, and that's the 19 of Martin Truex. A lot of guys are going to sleep on him, and no, it's not that deep. He's a good talent. The first race here in the rain, he had it going pretty good. Chase got him on it. He had it going pretty good, and he's been around long enough to know how to do it. So I think it's finally about time we see the 19 also have a really good run on a road course. That could be coming up this weekend at COTA, man. So getting into that money line presented by Redfin Polarized, man, whether you got money on the line or a wall hanger, make sure you see it clearly with the best polarized lenses on the planet, man. Italian frames, Carl Zeiss lenses. These things are legit. I forgot mine once again. They're in the car. I should have went and got them, although Lawrence is on. Like I say, man, whether you're in the woods or on the water, make sure you see everything clearly, man, with a pair of Redfins. Hey, like I say, you can go on their website, check it out. Actually, I think the style sunglass I have is still sold out. The Hatteras, that's a hot commodity, man. Them bad boys go quick. So if you see them restocking, they got them in, you better get on it. But when you go check out their website and you go to check out, man, make sure you use code Rubbin'n'Grubbin15. That'll knock off 15% at checkout, man. I tell you what, like I say all the time, big shout out to Redfin. I think they're Georgia-based as well. Hey, get them. Like I say, woods, water, doesn't matter. You going to prom, you want to look slick here this spring, man, get you a pair of Redfin Polarized. Hey, and as always, man, live life fins up, baby. So getting into the money line, look, like I said, we did pretty good at Atlanta. We did pretty good at Atlanta. Not a massive win, but we did win in every race, which was great. I think we went up, what we go up, Lawrence? Couple hundred units, 300 units? 300 units, man. So we're up to 725. So we're over where we started the race after the duels, which I wish we could have kept that ball rolling. But we're still doing good. We're still in the positive, man. So this week, moving into a road course, like I said, it's going to be hard. A couple of those favorites, 8 and 16, I look for. The opening odds on them were great. I think you look down deeper in the field, the 2, the 34, the 6, those odds are great. I think you can look at guys even a little bit better than that. Alex Bowman, those odds, opening odds were, I think, 2,800, 2,400, something along those lines. That's great odds for a guy that almost had it won last year. Like I say, it's hard to pick for these. I think the darkest guy you can really look at out there would probably be the 84 of Jimmy Johnson. I think Jimmy Johnson's odds were absolutely hysterical for the amount of time he spent behind a Cup car on a road course. And not only that, he's got a little bit of Indy stuff there going on as well. Now, he's not behind the seat all the time, and it is that team, Motor Club, Legacy, whatever it is, Motor Club. But at the end of the day, I think the guy's talent and the years that he's won on road courses can't go without being said. So you guys can always check out our Twitter. I think Lawrence posted on Facebook as well. The social media every Sunday to see exactly what we lock in. Me and Lawrence I got to do a little research. We got to do a little banter back and forth to figure out exactly who we're going with. But at the end of the day, there will be a few of those cars in it. You can guarantee that. So make sure you keep up with us on social media. Stay up to date with who we're taking our money on the money line. And follow along, man. You might be doing pretty good. I mean, hey, 725 units ain't bad, man. So before we get into that next segment, got to get a big shout out to Lamar's Body Shop, man, right up here on Skidaway Road. Look, Lamar's Body Shop's 35 plus years taking care of all of Savannah's automotive collision repair needs. Doesn't matter if you need a paint job, some fenders done, insurance quote, whatever it is, make sure you go see Lamar. Like I said, that's 2301 Skidaway Road. Hop, skip, and a jump away from Coaches. Man, you can go drop your car off, come to Coaches, man, have something to eat. You know, maybe even a cold beer if you want, if you don't plan on driving it back or whatever it is, man. Hey, come to Coaches while Lamar does your thing. He'll give you a call, go back up there. But like I say, man, 2301 Skidaway Road, best automotive service in Savannah. As I always say, why settle for par? Go see Lamar, man. Love you, dude. Thank you, brother. So getting into that hard right turn, man, and this has got to do with a little bit of generational swapping in NASCAR and going back and forth. Some of the older guys, or some of the younger guys becoming the older guys, and the younger guys not showing the respect, right? So this is driver etiquette and respect has completely gone away in the garage area, all right? Prime example, when you got Kyle Busch sitting there at the table saying, hey, man, I've tried to talk to guys. They don't want to talk to me, so I'm done talking, basically. There's no driver etiquette. There's no driver code anymore in the garage area. And I think Denny Hamlin even alluded to this last year. But when you got Kyle Busch saying that, we got some issues in the garage area. Now, I think a lot of this has to do with how young the sport is, right? The sport is very young. The average age of the drivers, I mean, you only got a couple guys been doing it long. Logano's been in it. Keselowski's been in it. Harvick, Kyle Busch. When you're talking about guys that are Dale Seniors, Dale Jarrett's, Jeff Gordon's in the later years, there's not many of those guys left, right? We're in that transition where here in 10 years, 15 years, we're going to have a lot of those guys teaching the younger guys how to get around and what to do. But at the end of the day, I think it's just the age demographic in the sport right now that's behind the wheel. I think it is the competitiveness of the cars, how competitive and equal the cars are nowadays. And I think how aggressive you have to be to pass and get the spot. Now, I always think there should be a driver code. Somebody does you wrong on the track, you should equally go and talk to them. When a driver, a championship driver, comes up to a younger guy, whether they're championship or not, or whether they're race winners or not, and he wants to talk to you about a move you made on the racetrack or something you did that wasn't right in his eyes, you should definitely take the time to listen to it, right? He's been successful. He's won championships. You owe him that respect, you know, especially down here in the South. I don't know how everybody does it. You're taught to respect your elders. Doesn't matter if they're right or wrong, even when you're an adult. I mean, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir, yada, yada, holding doors open, ladies first. I mean, that's just how it goes. That's what you're taught. NASCAR, same way, driver etiquette, man. And if you're not going to learn through words, these guys are getting ready to teach you through actions on the track. And I think we're probably later on in the season going to see quite a few of those moves from maybe some of the veterans with some of the younger guys. I think we just got to pay due respect. Those guys have been in it, whether you feel they're right or wrong. You can have time to listen to them, agree or disagree in a respectful way, and then hopefully move forward. You know, but the days of a guy getting wrecked out on Sunday and the phone being picked up on Monday morning and going, hey, man, you know, sorry I did it like that. Next time I'll try to be a little bit better, yada, yada. That doesn't happen. There's no phone calls anymore. There's no interaction. It's just kind of like bygone be God, bygones. I did it. I wrecked you. That's the end of it. Don't talk to me about it. So we'll see how it adjusts. But my personal opinion is, like I said, I blame it on the age demographic in the sport. I blame it on how competitive the cars are and just how aggressive you have to be to win. That's just the name of the game. Do I think that it needs to come back? Yeah, 100%. I think that we need to have some respectable things said. I always think that drivers that are older and pay their dues, winners or not, are always owed that respect from the younger guys. It's how you learn. It's how you teach the next generation of race car drivers. This is the code in NASCAR. These are the things we'll take. These are the things we'll accept. These are the things we won't. So until we see that start happening again, I think we're going to see the respect in the garage area and on the track, respect in the garage area go downhill, forceful action with the car on the track going up. So keep that in mind, man. So that's going to wrap it up for the grubbing part, or the rubbing part. We are on to the grubbing. I got one of my favorites. This is a pretty good one here. I've done this thing a million different ways. I've even had a buffaloed one out of here before, man. So the quesadilla, can't beat it. Little chicken quesadilla, classic quesadilla. I mean, this thing's got onions, tomatoes, chicken, pulled chicken, bacon, sour. I got some sour cream, salsa. I'll probably throw some ranch on this bad boy. Man, I tell you what, like I tell you guys all the time, I've been coming here 4 years, child to a grown adult. There's not one bad thing I've ever had come out of the kitchen here at Coach's Corner from top to bottom. You want something done a little bit different way? Let them know, man. They'll probably do that for you. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So, like I say all the time, Great food, great friends, great time. Coach's Corner just had a birthday too, man. I mean, come on. They still might be celebrating in here. Who knows, man? Make sure you come out, support your local restaurant. And like I said, Coach's food, some of the best, man. Make sure you come check it out. So got to give a big shout out as well to those Coach's Corner Sport Network shows. Coach Carl DeMasi with that DeMasi Coach Carl's Prep Sports Report comes out every Saturday live right here on the Soundgarden stage as well. Coach does an amazing job keeping you up to date with everything from baseball, basketball, football, swimming, golf, lacrosse, soccer, bass fishing. I'm telling you, this still blows my mind. I said this last week. Bass fishing is a high school sport now, man. Like, where was this? I'm telling you, where was this? You know, let's see. Shit. 20 years ago, man. 21 years ago, man. Where was this, man? That's what I mean. 20 damn years ago, where was the bass fishing, man? So, hey, but Coach Carl keeping you up to date on all that. Hey, he's even been posting a little bit more about that Major League Baseball. You know, we're not too far away from opening day. Got a little bit to go. I saw him post about the Braves starting up and where the shortstop position is. I think they found their man as well, Coach. So, can't wait to shoot some baseball back and forth with you later on this year for sure. You know, me and you will get to rapping about it, and that's how it happened. But amazing time. So make sure if you haven't yet, go check out Coach Carl DeMasi's Prep Sports Report. Subscribe to that Twitter stuff. Subscribe to the Facebook. Follow him. He's a staple of Savannah, man. What an amazing guy. Awesome coach. Does a lot for me when I'm not able to make it up and do some raffles outside of Lawrence and the Bennetts, Reed and Julius as well. Coach Carl, he sat at the door before and raffled off tickets, man. So at the end of the day, big thanks, big shout out. Always support from here on the Rubbin' and Grubbin' and Brandon Bain. You know that, Coach. Love you, man. So before I get out of here, got to give a big shout out to John and Adele Henderson as well. Thank you guys for everything you do for me, allowing me to come up here, do the NASCAR show. Lawrence, JB, everybody that's involved here at Coaches, from the staff to the waitress to the kitchen staff, everybody, I just want to tell you thank you. I'm so glad to be part of this Coaches family. I say this almost every week, man. It's just a group of amazing folks that really know how to have a good time and do some really good things for our community, man. I mean, locally, it all stays local. We've done so much good for this community around. I mean, you know, when COVID hit, John was cooking meals for first responders, takeout, one of the only restaurants that were even open. Coming back, Larry's, you know, that breakfast place, that was an awesome staple. Did breakfast here for almost a solid year. John just trying to keep employees employed. So when you talk about a man that owns a business, has a big heart, and is willing to do some things for his community, John and Adele Henderson are two of those people, man. So like I say, any chance you get, come out, support Coaches. Always, man. Love y'all. So before I get out of here, man, there again, just want to say, give a big shout out to everybody involved. Hey, man, I love everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the show. Thanks for all the support on YouTube, man. I tell you, it didn't take us too long to jump to that many. Hopefully, it doesn't take us long to hit 500. I mean, we got to go a ways, right? We got to go a ways, but hopefully with everybody's help out there, spreading the news about Rubbin' and Grubbin' and what we do on the show, shouldn't take that long, and we'll get this Harvick helmet. And I tell you what, if we get down towards the end of the year and this Harvick helmet is still here and we hadn't reached 500, somebody's going to get it. We're going to end up giving it away, okay? But at the end of the day, help us get to 500, y'all. Let's just do it, man. I mean, there's people out there with 50 million, man. All I need is 500. Let's just get to 500, man. Like I say, more eyes on that, more money we raise for charity, hopefully. But I hope everybody had a safe Patty's Day out there. It seemed like downtown on the arrest record of what they posted, it wasn't too crazy. Savannah Police Department said they had a pretty laid-back Patty's Day, which blew my mind because it was Friday, which usually means jokers down here in Savannah getting ready to get cranked up. I promise you that, and everybody from out of town. So that's nice to hear. But I hope everybody had a really good Patty's Day. Hope you got to spend some time with your friends and family out there. Wear that green, drink some green beer, man, and really show everybody in Savannah what Savannah is all about, the hospitality and being the hostess city, man. Conor McGregor loved it. He was in the house. I'm telling you, man, that was a pretty neat deal. I'm glad nobody tried to fight him, because that man probably would have beat the brakes off of a lot of folks out there. But at the end of the day, man, glad he had a good time and gave a big shout out to the hospitality of Savannah. That should speak volumes for you know, the Savannians that live here, man. So that's an awesome deal. But hey, look, as I say every week, make sure you spend as much time with your loved ones out there. Hug them, kiss them every chance you get. Tomorrow is not given. We never know what's going to happen to somebody, what somebody's going through. You got a friend going through hard times, call them, ask them if they're okay, take them out to lunch, man. Do everything you can. Poke, pry, prod, get it out of them, man. Get them to open up. Like I say, man, a lot of stuff going on in this world today, and I think a lot of it we got to blame on social media with our youth, to be honest. I don't want to get too far involved in all that, but at the end of the day, man, mental health is a big deal. Physical health is a big deal, and love, most of all, conquers all, y'all. So, hey, till next time, love y'all. Hey, and as always, I didn't forget, wash your hands. Oh, yeah.